A secret conversation takes place between Piao's grandfather and Wei, which was going to change Piao's life in the future. While Xiao was arriving at the hospital, she called Piao and apologized for not being able to pick her up. As a result, she explained, reporters had taken pictures of Piao and Wei together, which had now sparked a wildfire of gossip across the university about how close the two of them appeared to be. Pao told her that she didn't care because, according to her, there was nothing going on between her and Wei. Zhao then warned her that Rui wouldn't take this lightly. She reminded Piao that Rui had always liked Wei. Piao responded with a calm "no problem," adding that she'd try to sort it out too. Zhao then began narrating how Bai had helped her earlier that day when she got hurt. Piao was genuinely happy for her, probably glad that for once, someone else was the damsel in distress. Bai was then calling Zhao and giving her some medicine. When Zhao tried to pay, Bai declined and said it was his duty as a senior to take care of his juniors, basically pulling off the cool upperclassman move straight out of a rom-com. While Wei was still at Piao's house having dinner, Grandpa was giving him the royal guest treatment, even serving food with his own hands. Piao, seeing all this pampering, told Grandpa not to fuss so much over Senior Wei and hinted that he should probably eat quickly and leave. But Grandpa ignored her completely and asked Wei whether he liked the food. Wei replied that he did and added that Grandpa's cooking skills were far superior to most, deliberately throwing shade at Piao's culinary experiments. At this, Piao made a face, knowing exactly what he meant. Grandpa laughed and explained that Piao loved to eat, but had zero interest in cooking, so much so that he had never once tasted a meal prepared by her. He then turned to Wei and asked how he knew about her lack of cooking skills. Curious, he asked what kind of relationship they shared. Piao quickly jumped in, saying there was nothing between them. But Wei, apparently on a mission to stir the pot, claimed that Piao came to his house every day to cook. Grandpa was shocked. Piao instantly denied it, insisting Wei was lying, and begged Grandpa not to believe him. Grandpa laughed and served her as well. Then came the battle for the final piece of meat. Piao snatched it away like a food ninja before Wei could even blink, then gave him a smug look as she chewed victoriously. Grandpa shook his head, saying she would never change. Wei nodded and added that Piao ate a lot, clearly unaware that this was a fast-track ticket to getting smacked with a spoon. Piao pulled a face and told him to think whatever he liked. After dinner, Wei offered to do the dishes, but Grandpa wouldn't hear of it. He said Wei was a guest and should relax while Piao would clean up. Meanwhile, Grandpa was having a serious talk with Wei about resolving past matters quickly. Wei listened attentively, but when Piao entered the room, both of them immediately went silent. She asked what they had been talking about so secretly. Grandpa brushed it off, saying they were discussing old matters that she wouldn't understand. Piao, unconvinced, jokingly accused Wei of bullying her grandpa and demanded the truth so she could defend him. Grandpa scolded her for speaking that way. Wei told Grandpa that it was fine and said he would explain everything to her. He turned to Piao and declared that from that day forward, she would be his responsibility. Piao, completely thrown off, asked what that even meant. Wei explained that Grandpa had agreed to let him take her on as his student. Grandpa added that he was counting on Wei to guide his naive granddaughter. Piao stood there, visibly puzzled as she held a formal-looking agreement in her hands that Wei was the successor of the main Tai Chi martial arts family and wanted to train Piao as his student. She shouldn't take it lightly. From that point on, she would live under Wei's mentorship and follow his instructions. Respecting tradition, Piao read the agreement aloud. "My name is Piao, age 18, and I am ready to learn hidden Tai Chi martial arts from Master Wei. From now on, I will remain under Master Wei's supervision and follow his orders." Grandpa announced that the ceremony was complete. Wei told Piao to stand, and she obeyed. He promised Grandpa that he would take good care of his student and added that for now, her identity as his student would remain a secret. But once she returned to university, her training would begin right away. Grandpa agreed to everything, while Piao still looked confused, wondering how she went from studying painting to suddenly becoming a martial arts trainee. Grandpa reassured her that she would soon discover her true talent and the unique abilities gifted to her by the universe. He also mentioned that it was already late, so Wei would be staying the night. Grandpa showed an old box and showed it to Wei. The box used to be Piao's childhood treasure chest, and that pendant, well, little Piao wore it all the time. She had begged her parents to get it for her, and it quickly became her favorite thing in the world. After her parents left, this pendant was the only thing she had to remember them by. At that point, Wei assumed Piao's parents were no longer alive, but Grandpa clarified that wasn't the case. They were still alive, just living abroad. Piao, however, had been with him since she was a child. Hearing this, Wei apologized for the misunderstanding. Wei laughed, saying he could totally picture young Piao roughing up boys and leaving them begging for mercy. Just then, Piao entered and scolded Grandpa, saying it was late and he should be asleep. Grandpa wanted to keep chatting with Wei, but Piao didn't let him. Grandpa smiled, saying he was happy to see his granddaughter had grown up and found happiness. After that, Piao took the box back from Wei and scolded him for touching someone's personal stuff. Wei apologized and said, by the way, her bond with her grandfather was really strong, which made her smile. She teased him, asking if he was jealous. Wei went quiet and began remembering his own home as how he had always been alone, especially when he got injured last year. Even the maid used to gossip about how his family was planning to remove him from his position as the successor of the Taiji legacy. It was now really late, time to sleep. But the problem was, where would Wei sleep? Piao flat out refused to give him her bed and told him to sleep on the chair. Wei gave her the most innocent puppy eyes and she rolled hers, saying, don't try to emotionally blackmail me. But eventually she gave in, letting him sleep in her bed while she chose the chair outside. After leaving him in her room, Wei looked at Piao's photos and whispered to himself, wondering when she'd finally understand his feelings for her. The next morning, Piao woke up with shoulder pain and someone started massaging them. She thought it was Grandpa, and Grandpa came in and invited both of them to breakfast. Later, the two left the house and headed back to the university. Meanwhile, Tan, alone and fuming with rage over Piao and Wei, got a call from someone furious on the other end. The voice demanded to know why the job wasn't done. Tan tried explaining that he would have finished it, but once again, that girl had saved Wei, the same girl from last time. The person on the phone yelled, threatened him, and warned that if the job wasn't done properly next time, there would be consequences. Then the call cut off, leaving Tan more anxious than ever about what to do next. Back in a lighter moment, Piao had prepared food for Wei again. She cheerfully told him that this time, she hadn't mixed up soy sauce with vinegar, so the dish would taste good. Wei tasted it and genuinely liked it. Then, Piao asked him to try her soup. Unfortunately, it was worse than the last one, but like a guy in love, Wei didn't tell her the truth and said it tasted even better than before. When Piao asked what he thought she had put in it, she smiled and replied, a whole lot of love and my brilliant cooking skills. With everything done, Piao announced she was leaving. Wei told her to return after class, but she declined, explaining she had to prepare for an exam. Wei, however, kept calling after her, telling her not to talk to strangers. Later in class, the teacher had exciting news. Piao's painting was nominated for the China-Japanese exhibition. Everyone in the faculty was thrilled she'd be representing them. Xiao was especially happy for her, but Piao wasn't. She knew those paintings weren't hers. Still, she attended the exhibition. There, she met a Japanese student named Shan, who approached her and started a conversation. Shan introduced himself and Piao greeted him politely. She remarked that his Chinese was exceptionally good, especially for someone who was Japanese. Shan explained that he had been interested in Chinese culture from the very beginning. As their conversation progressed, they discovered that they actually had a lot in common. When Piao's painting was brought up, Shan was completely stunned and asked if she had really drawn it herself. Piao modestly responded that maybe she had. Hearing this, Shan started showering her with compliments non-stop, as if he'd just found the Mona Lisa at a college fest. Looking at the painting, he recited a poem but forgot the last lines. Piao smoothly completed the lines for him, which left Shan surprised and impressed. He asked in disbelief if she liked the same poem too. Their chat continued effortlessly, and before long it was clear that the two were fast becoming friends. Shan, as it turned out, was not just any student, but a brilliant art scholar who was quite famous at his university, just like Wei was at his own. Meanwhile, Wei was pacing around, wondering why Piao hadn't returned yet, and why her phone was switched off, like it was allergic to signals. Piao returned to Wei's house to make dinner, only to find that he had already cooked because she was late. He scolded her for not arriving on time. Piao was surprised and asked if he had really made the noodles himself. Wei confirmed and offered her the food. As Piao began eating, she kept asking things, treating Wei like her personal butler. Meanwhile, Wei silently did everything for her so she could eat in peace. Suddenly, Piao remembered something important. She asked him about his legs and Wei froze, realizing he had accidentally blown his own cover. Piao shouted in anger, calling him a big-time drama king and liar. She declared that she would return the court money from wherever she could, but she would not serve him anymore. Wei sat there panicking, wondering how he could have forgotten that he was pretending to be injured just to spend more time with Piao. Meanwhile, Piao arrived back at her hostel room, grumbling about how Wei was the biggest liar she'd ever met and how she never wanted to speak to him again. Xiao tried to calm her down, and after some time, Piao finally cooled off. As she was studying for her upcoming exam, Xiao told her she was stepping out to buy snacks, joking that she had studied so much that she had become skinny. Piao told her to go ahead. While studying, Piao found it hard to concentrate. Just then, Wei called her and asked her to come back. Piao firmly refused and said she'd rather die than return to him. Wei, unfazed, reminded her about her exam and said he could help her prepare. He told her to stop being childish and come back, but Piao was still adamant. Then Wei sensed someone's presence, and suddenly, someone attacked him from behind. He barely dodged the hit. A fight broke out between him and the mysterious figure. Luckily, Arya and Bing arrived at Wei's place, intending to visit him. They were initially hesitant, thinking they might be disturbing him at this hour, but when they heard the noise inside, they rushed in. Arya and Bing chased her, but she was already gone. They did, however, find a hair clip lying outside and assumed it belonged to her, so they kept it. Afterward, the three discussed the incident, confused about who attacked Wei. Arya shared the hair clip they found. Wei said that although there were multiple CCTV cameras outside his house, the attacker's impressive fighting skills likely helped her avoid being caught on camera. Arya and Bing suggested staying the night to protect Wei, but he refused. Just then, Piao showed up, looking extremely worried. She asked if he was okay. Wei casually replied that it was just a cat that caused all this, as if cats now came with ninja training. Arya and Bing, seeing how concerned Piao was, smiled quietly. Pao, not buying the cat story, insisted on knowing the truth. She asked if he was hurt, but then fell silent when she noticed Arya and Bing grinning. They greeted her and said, "Sister-in-law, please don't mind us." Wei then asked them to leave. As they walked out, they cheekily waved and said, "Bye, sister-in-law." After they left, Piao questioned Wei on why he didn't explain that there was nothing romantic between them. Wei sat down and calmly said, "What was I supposed to explain? That you came running in the middle of the night just because you were so worried about me?" Piao protested, saying she would have done the same for anyone. Wei replied that now that she was back, she'd have to follow his orders again. Piao flatly refused, but Wei threatened to tell Grandpa that she burned his limited edition coat and wasn't obeying him, even though they had an agreement that he was her master. Finally, Piao gave in, saying she would do everything like before and told him not to talk too much. Suddenly, Wei felt pain in his body from the earlier fight, so Piao helped him back to his room so he could rest. Wei told her she could return to her hostel now, but Piao no longer felt like leaving him alone in that condition. As she was carefully laying him down, Piao suddenly moved away because Wei had gotten a bit too close for comfort, causing her heart to race like a squirrel on caffeine. She stepped outside to catch her breath and wondered aloud why it suddenly felt so warm. Meanwhile, Wei was also visibly nervous, and just then he received a call from Bai. Bai began discussing how all the stuff in his room had been thrown around. Wei admitted that his room looked just as chaotic. That's when Bai deduced that the person who had attacked Wei and who had also come to his own house was clearly searching for something. At the same time, Piao, who was still outside, suddenly saw an insect and screamed at the top of her lungs. Upon hearing the scream, Bai asked in shock if Piao hadn't gone back to her room yet. Wei told him they'd talk later and quickly rushed out. The moment Piao saw him, she hugged him tightly and told him there was a cockroach. Wei, stunned, trying to sound like an expert in zoology, Wei told her not to be scared because it wasn't a cockroach, it was a golden turtle. Then he shooed it away and Piao breathed a sigh of relief. She told him that she had an exam the next day and needed to study, so she would head back. But Wei stopped her and insisted that she wasn't going anywhere because he would help her prepare. Although Piao was reluctant, Wei managed to stop her. He gave her some important notes and told her to read them, promising that she'd understand everything clearly. Piao curiously asked how he knew so much about art. Wei explained that Tai Chi and art were basically the same, and anyone who knew Tai Chi would naturally know art. Piao started studying while Wei prepared a training timetable for her. He mentioned that he had scheduled the training for the time right after her classes, so it wouldn't interfere with her studies. When Piao looked at the timetable, she said that while her studies might not be affected, her body and life surely would be. She pointed out all the kilometers of running, the countless push-ups, and several other physically intense tasks. But Wei, completely unfazed, told her that she had no choice and would have to do all of it. Then, like a bossy coach in a drama series, he walked off. After pulling an all-nighter with her books, Piao was heading off for her exam when Wei gave her a protein drink. Piao drank it unwillingly, and then Wei cleaned her face before she left. She went to take her exam and was utterly surprised to find that all the questions were exactly the same as the ones in Wei's notes. Overjoyed, she started writing her answers confidently. On the other hand, Chao was deeply worried because she didn't remember much and felt her exam hadn't gone well. Meanwhile, Piao looked extremely happy as her exam had gone great. Just then, the teacher arrived and informed everyone about a new art student joining the class. To everyone's surprise, it was Shanning, who had joined the university especially because of Piao. All the girls were visibly excited, and Piao herself was stunned to see how talented he was. Everyone was thrilled that Shan would now be their classmate. Piao was still in shock as she watched him. Once Shan sat down, the teacher asked Piao to give him a tour of the university and to explain Chinese culture to him. Piao agreed to do so. Shan told her that he was happy to meet her again, and Piao moved her seat closer to his to chat. Rui, observing all this, clearly didn't appreciate how Piao always seemed to grab the attention of every popular guy. Piao welcomed Shan and asked why he hadn't mentioned earlier that he was transferring. Shan replied that he hadn't originally planned on transferring, so he hadn't told her, but he wanted to surprise her now. Piao smiled and said she'd show him around after class. Just then, Zhao moved Piao's hand aside and introduced herself. Apparently, she had also taken a liking to Shan. Watching this, Shan simply smiled. Meanwhile, Zhao began asking Piao several questions: where she had been the previous night, why she hadn't returned home, and whether she had been with Wei. Piao dodged all the questions by pointing out that Xiao's crush Bai was coming, and then quickly walked away. Bai handed Xiao her purse, saying she had left it at the hospital. Xiao sincerely thanked him and told him he was always very kind and helpful. She asked if she could treat him to a meal. Bai was initially hesitant, saying it felt a bit awkward, but then agreed that they could eat together on a day when he was free. Hearing this, Zhao became very happy. After school, Piao arrived at Wei's house and began looking for him, but he was nowhere to be found. The entire house was empty. Then she found a note with an address written by Wei, asking her to meet him there. She arrived at the location and saw Wei standing calmly. She asked if they weren't supposed to be training today. Wei told her to look at the water carefully and listen to the sounds around her, to feel everything deeply. He explained that once she learned to calm her mind, she would be able to learn hidden Tai Chi at double the speed. Piao began absorbing the natural surroundings when Wei asked for her phone to change the ringtone. Piao gave it to him, but didn't unlock it, so Wei stared at her and thanks to face unlocking managed to get in. He changed the ringtone and showed her a training schedule with 6 stamina exercises. He told her that if she completed them properly, he would reduce her debt by half. Piao agreed, and as she was about to leave, Wei told her to come exactly at 5 in the morning. Wei warned her that if she was even a minute late, she should be ready for punishment. Piao walked away with a grumpy face, while Wei seemed quite pleased with himself for teasing her. The next morning, the alarm rang right on time, so Piao got up and went to Wei's house. But Wei told her she was 15 minutes late and would have to face punishment. Piao was stunned, and sure enough, Wei made her run excessively, so much so that she ended up completely exhausted, like a phone battery stuck at 1%. Piao had been fuming inside because Wei wouldn't let her rest even for a second, yet she kept following his orders anyway. One day, Wei handed her a Tai Chi outfit and told her to start training, but Piao, clearly done with all the kung fu nonsense, told him that she couldn't stay any longer since her art teacher had given her the task of showing a Japanese student around the university. The moment Wei heard the words Japanese student, his expression soured like expired yogurt. He immediately assumed she was abandoning him and accused her of leaving him. He puffed up like a possessive cat and declared that, as school council president, he would assign someone else to the Japanese guy. Piao wasn't going anywhere. She'd stay and train, period. And so, he made her run laps again, with extra training sprinkled in for good measure. Piao felt like her soul was slowly exiting her body, but she still didn't quit. One day, Wei told her to stand in a Tai Chi stance for a long time, and when she asked how long she had to hold it, he told her, until your mind is calm, basically. Until her brain turned into a Zen garden. That reminded her of something he had said earlier, so she began focusing and tried to absorb the peace of nature. Wei noticed and told her that it was good to see she was finally listening to his lessons, which made her smile. Later, while sitting together, Wei asked her how she was finding his training. Piao told him that it was completely useless and that her grandfather used to train her with fun and snacks. Wei, on the other hand, was like a drill sergeant on a diet. Wei responded that her grandfather hadn't trained her in a professional way, unlike him. Piao got annoyed and defended her grandfather, but Wei explained that if she completed his training, she'd unlock a hidden power even she didn't know she had. Basically, he promised she'd turn into a superhero by the end of it. Next, in class, Piao was shocked when Xiao told her the history test results were out, and she had scored 98. Xiao Xia, who had only gotten 60, looked like she had just seen a ghost take an exam. Piao remembered Wei's super detailed notes and realized the guy might actually have a genius brain hidden beneath all the bossiness. She chuckled to herself, admitting silently that Wei was truly smart. After class, Piao was on her way to Wei's house but bumped into Shan, who stopped her to talk. She apologized for not being able to show him around the university. Shan didn't mind and explained he was interested in painting, so Piao began recommending the best places for scenery. But thanks to Wei's brutal training, her hand was aching like it had wrestled a bear, and Shan noticed it. He gently touched her hand and asked if someone had been bullying her. Right at that moment, someone in hiding secretly took a photo of the two of them. Piao dismissed Shan's concern and assured him that everything was fine. After chatting a bit more, she left. Later, Piao reached Wei's house, but found it empty. Instead, she found yet another of his cryptic notes, telling her where to go for her next training session. She followed the note and eventually arrived at a quiet place where Wei was meeting someone named Rui. Piao stayed hidden, watching them. She tried calling out to Wei, but he didn't even look her way. Rui asked Wei if he came there daily and whether she could join him next time. Wei told her he only came occasionally and liked being alone, which was just his polite way of saying, "Please stop stalking me." She kept chatting, and suddenly Wei noticed something. He showed her the pin he had found on the night of the mysterious attack, and asked if it belonged to her. Rui confirmed it might have fallen outside his house during a visit, which left Wei puzzled. If the pin was hers, he thought, then maybe she wasn't the attacker after all. After some small talk, Rui left. Piao then came out of hiding and approached Wei, and after a quick conversation, training resumed. This time, he had her doing endless planks along with running. When Piao approached him later, she saw him deep in meditation. Curious, she started observing him and couldn't help but think that, no matter how annoying he was, Wei was ridiculously handsome. Seriously, he looked like he'd been crafted by angels who had a thing for abs. She got so close while staring that Wei suddenly asked her if she was done checking him out. Mortified, Piao jumped back and claimed she was just observing the environment, obviously. Then she ran off, using class as the perfect excuse. Still flustered, Piao accidentally bumped into Rui on the way, knocking her down. She apologized, insisting it wasn't on purpose, but Rui and Jia were not the forgiving type. Jia started being rude and was just about to push Piao down the stairs when Shan showed up and caught her just in time. The two locked eyes dramatically, and Shane asked if she was okay. He demanded that Jia apologize, but she flat out refused and sneered that she didn't understand why guys always took Piao's side, calling her a fake girl. Shan warned he would report her to the principal, and Rui tried to de-escalate by telling Jia to leave. Before she left, though, Shan demanded an apology again. Rui responded with a death glare and stomped off. Piao tried to calm Shan down and took the blame, saying she was the one who bumped into Rui. Shan told her she shouldn't always stay quiet and that she should stand up to people like them. Later, Shan dropped Piao at her dorm and started asking questions. Piao explained everything nicely and even told him he could come to her for help whenever he needed. Shan was clearly touched, calling her kind. Piao said goodbye and walked away while Shan stood there, clearly smitten. The next day, Wei resumed training her. But once again, someone was secretly taking photos of her with Wei this time. As Piao walked through campus, she noticed people whispering and staring. She genuinely thought she must have something stuck to her face. The whispers continued into class until Piao finally asked Zhao what was going on. Zhao told her that someone had posted a picture of her and Wei online, claiming they were secretly dating. Piao was shocked. Things got worse when Zhao asked her about her relationship with Shan, and she explained they were just friends. Xiao told her people were now circulating pictures of her with both Wei and Shan, painting her as a two-timer. Naturally, Piao was horrified. Meanwhile, at lunch, Xiao told Bai about everything. Bai listened silently, then forwarded both articles to Wei. Wei didn't care at all about the picture with him and Piao, but the one with Shan, that lit his jealousy on fire. Not caring about his image or reputation, he stormed over to Piao's dorm to confront her. Piao was stunned to see him there, and as she came down to talk, Shan also arrived. And before Piao could say anything, Wei, possessive and jealous, acted like she belonged to him, which clearly didn't sit well with Shan at all. Shan was quite surprised seeing all this and had asked Piao who that guy was, but before Piao could say anything, Wei had already placed his hand gently on her head and began saying that the martial arts competition was going to start soon and he hoped that she would definitely participate. Piao had been quite puzzled. Meanwhile, Shan had started to feel jealous. Just as he was about to talk to Piao, Wei had suddenly dragged her away. While leaving, Piao had told Shan that they'd meet some other time, but Wei had not even let her get a word in. Shan, now sad and slightly heartbroken, had tried to console himself, thinking that Piao was so adorable that obviously everyone would fall for her, but in the end he believed she'd be his. Piao's training had resumed. Wei had been making her work really hard because he wanted her to participate in the martial arts competition. However, he hadn't properly discussed this with Piao or her grandfather yet. It was New Year's Day, and as always, Wei had been alone. On the other hand, Piao was having a great time with her grandpa. They had both started making dumplings, and Piao, while making animal-faced dumplings, had jokingly said, "Grandpa, look, this one looks exactly like Wei." Just then, someone knocked at the door. Piao had gone to open it and was shocked to see that it was none other than Wei, who had come to celebrate New Year with her and Grandpa. Grandpa had welcomed Wei warmly. Wei had handed them a gift and asked if he had disturbed them. Grandpa had assured him that he hadn't, and also mentioned that he needn't have brought any gift. He said that he and Piao were just making dumplings, and insisted Wei must eat some. Then, Grandpa had joked that since Wei was taller than Piao, she should take his help to hang the New Year banners. Piao had agreed. The two of them had started putting up the banners outside. Piao had asked Wei why he had come to their house to celebrate New Year. Wei had replied directly that it was because he missed her and wanted to celebrate with her. Piao, clearly flustered, had changed the topic quickly by saying that he wasn't that much taller than her anyway. Then Wei had smoothly walked past her and gone inside. After that, the three of them had started celebrating New Year together. Then he told Grandpa that the World Martial Arts competition was about to begin, and he wanted Piao to participate, and asked for his permission. Grandpa had said that he didn't think Piao was quite ready for the competition yet. Wei had assured him not to worry, and that with proper training, she'd be ready. Grandpa had finally agreed. Piao, however, had protested, asking whether anyone was even going to ask her if she wanted to participate. Wei had jokingly said that as long as she was buried in debt, she had to do everything quietly. Grandpa had gone to get more dumplings. Just then, Piao had received a message from Shan, wishing her a happy new year. She lit up with joy and started replying immediately. Wei asked her who it was, but Piao hadn't replied and instead continued chatting. Wei had asked again, getting more suspicious, and had started to get a feeling that it must be that same guy. But Piao hadn't told him anything. Meanwhile, Shan had invited her to go shopping together. Piao agreed and added that they'd take Xiao along too. Wei had asked again why she wasn't telling him who she was talking to. Just as Piao was about to tell him, another message from Shan had popped up, saying he was ready to go to the market with Piao, and she immediately started chatting with him again, ignoring Wei completely. Piao had acted like he didn't exist. The next night, Piao had been waiting for Shan and Xiao. When they arrived, the three of them had headed to the market together and had a wonderful time. Shan said that it reminded him of his childhood because he had spent it in China with his mom. Piao told him to click pictures and send them to his mom. But Shan had told her that wasn't possible because his mother was no longer alive. Piao had immediately said sorry and felt really bad for him. Shan smiled and said it was okay. The next day in the class, everyone had begun gossiping about Piao again. Apparently, someone had seen her shopping with Shan the previous night. Now everyone was convinced she was dating two guys at once. Piao tried to ignore it all, but when she opened her book and saw a fake cockroach inside, she screamed. Ruye and Jia, who had done it, had been very happy with their successful prank. Later, when Piao had gone to the canteen with Zhao, people were still whispering and talking. Piao had tried her best to ignore them. Zhao had told her that all of this was happening because of Wei and that she should stay away from him. She then asked what Piao thought about Shan, saying they looked good together. Piao had replied that it was nothing like that and that Shan was just her friend. Then she had started eating the bland diet food Wei had told her to eat, even though it tasted like cardboard doing a depression cosplay. Finally, Piao had been coming back from somewhere when she ran into Shan, who started talking to her. Actually, he had been apologizing to Piao, saying it was because of him that rumors had started about her in the university. At that moment, Piao had calmly replied that it was okay and that she didn't mind such things. After all, when the gossip wasn't even true, what was the point of worrying about it? Hearing this, Shan had said it genuinely made him happy to see that she wasn't letting all that get to her. After school, Piao prepared food for Wei and was also sharing her dream. She told him that she wanted to open a small restaurant someday because she believed she was really good at cooking. Wei asked her whether people had bullied her due to the rumors, to which Piao had nodded. So Wei asked why she was tolerating it all and told her that she should give a reply to those bullies. Piao began explaining that she was now the university lady, a title she won through votes, and therefore any misbehavior on her part would damage her image. At that point, Wei commented that she looked better with her tomboy image and that trying to protect this new university lady image shouldn't mean letting people walk all over her. Piao started thinking about this seriously, then quickly brushed it off by saying they should forget it. Wei tried the soup, which, true to tradition, was once again a disaster. In fact, it had been so spicy this time that his taste buds filed for early retirement, and he had to go to his room to recover. Piao told him not to worry and promised to make a special drink that would make him feel much better. Although Wei told her to leave, Piao hadn't listened. She went into the kitchen and started throwing in all sorts of hot, mysterious ingredients into the drink. When she tasted it, she'd immediately said it didn't taste right, so naturally she made it worse by adding even more surprise elements to the mix. Meanwhile, Wei, who had been in his room for quite a while, came out to see what madness she was up to, only to discover she had fallen asleep from exhaustion, but not before completing her witch's brew. When Piao woke up, she called Wei over and asked him to sit beside her. She explained that though she had intended to make a drink, what had actually come out was a soup, and she was absolutely sure he was going to love it. Wei, who clearly wanted to run far away, had reluctantly tasted it after much persuasion. And as expected, it had turned out horrible again, but he hadn't told Piao. She insisted he drink more, but Wei had somehow managed to say he would take it to his room and drink it there. Meanwhile, Piao had become super happy, thinking she had made something so delicious that it had touched Senior Wei's soul and made him emotional. The next day, when Rui had come to meet Wei, she was completely shocked to see Piao at his house that early in the morning. She was stunned, thinking that maybe Piao was sleeping at Wei's house, and perhaps they spent the night together. She got really upset and angry. Rui, still stunned by what she saw, went to talk to Zhao along with Jia. The two of them had started asking her how Piao had managed to seduce Wei. Xiao told them to mind their own business, at which Jia got furious and started hitting her, asking how she could speak to them like that. Just then Bai arrived and stopped Jia. Xiao suddenly looked like someone in a K-drama seeing their knight in shining armor. Bei had scolded both Jia and Rui, asking how they could bully fellow students like this and give them a warning, after which he had left with her. Later, Zhao had thanked him, and he had casually said it was his duty. While Tan had come to meet the mysterious girl, the one who had previously attacked Wei, the mysterious girl said that she had some juicy news about Wei's girlfriend, Piao. She said that the two paintings Piao had brought to university weren't even hers. While Piao had gone with Xiao to her locker to get her swimsuit only to discover it was missing, the other girls had laughed upon seeing this. Xiao got angry and asked how they could do such a thing, but Piao stopped her and said to let them go. She sat down, looking troubled, and said that she couldn't even skip class because it was an important one. Meanwhile, Shan had been scolding the girls who stole Piao's swimsuit. Apparently, they had done it on Rui's orders. Shan retrieved the swimsuit from them and scolded the girls, asking how they could bully Piao when she was always so nice to everyone. Wei, who was nearby, had overheard everything and realized how much Shan cared for Piao. So he came over and said that he cared even more about Piao than Shan did. Then he took the swimsuit and walked away, leaving Shan stunned and blinking like someone who just got friend-zoned in public. Meanwhile, Piao had been feeling low and started heading back to her dorm because everyone had been laughing at her. But on the way, she ran into Wei, who gave her the swimsuit and encouraged her to attend the class. He reminded her once again that she shouldn't let anyone bully her. These words gave Piao a little courage, so she decided to go to class anyway, surprising both Jia and Rui, who had assumed she wouldn't show up. After class, Piao stopped Jia and directly asked what her problem was. Jia had snapped back, reminding her that she was the university lady now and couldn't talk like that. But Piao replied that For girls like her, she was still the old Piao. She then warned her that whatever she and Rui had done to her would be the last time, and with that, she had pushed Jia straight into the swimming pool and walked away laughing. While Wei's grandmother had clearly figured out that something was going on between him and a certain girl, she said that someday she wanted to meet that girl too, since it was the first time Wei had shown such an unusual level of interest in anyone. But he still kept denying that there was anything between them and claimed that she was just his junior, and there was absolutely nothing more to it. Then, blushing like a guilty kid caught stealing cookies, he walked away. The next day, Bai, Bing, and Wei were seen sitting together. Actually, Wei called Bai and Bing over to discuss why the Japanese student named Shan was trying so hard to get close to Piao. At that moment, Bing teased that it sounded like Senior Wei was getting jealous of the Japanese guy. Bai agreed and said he thought the same. Wei, of course, denied it immediately. Then Bing offered advice, saying that if Wei feared someone might steal Piao away, he should confess his feelings to her as soon as possible. Later, Shan went over to Piao and Xiao. He first congratulated Piao for doing a great job pushing the bully Jia into the water, and then invited her to the art exhibition. When the three arrived at the exhibition, Wei was already giving a speech about some unresolved matters. As his speech ended, Rui suddenly asked him in front of everyone about his relationship with Piao. Wei was stunned at this direct question and replied that he didn't wish to reveal anything about his personal life. But Rui pressed further, asking if the rumors were true that Piao was chasing after him. Piao began to feel embarrassed, while Shan also felt bad, wondering why Piao always became the target of such public humiliation. Finally, Wei admitted in front of everyone that his relationship with Piao was more special than anyone could imagine, leaving everyone in shock. It was practically a love confession on loudspeaker, and some even began clapping. Rui, on the other hand, was so jealous she stormed outside, fuming at the idea that Wei would like another girl, especially one who came after her. Jia tried hard to calm her down, but Rui was in full soap opera mode and wouldn't listen. Meanwhile, Wei was standing outside waiting for Piao so they could go together. When Piao came with Xiao, she told her not to go with him. Piao, caught between two advisors like a confused GPS, didn't know whom to listen to. But when Wei started to walk away, looking disheartened, Piao felt it was right to go with him. Soon after, the two of them were seen riding a bicycle together for training. Seeing them together like that shocked everyone. Clearly, Wei wasn't hiding anything anymore. He didn't care what people thought, he loved Piao and that was that. As they went a little further, Wei told her that today's training would happen somewhere else. He brought her to the campus swimming pool, saying that water-based training was also very important. Then he told Piao to go change. Piao returned in her swimsuit but was too shy to come out in front of him. Eventually, she stepped out. Wei told her to get in the pool, but Piao admitted she couldn't swim well. Just as she was hesitating, he pushed her into the water. Piao was furious at first, but then calmed down. They began practicing Tai Chi moves underwater to help her improve her body balance. In between, they played around a bit too, and Wei looked genuinely happy, as if Piao had taught him how to smile again. Cao arrived at Tai Chi faculty with lunch she had prepared for Bai, but Bai wasn't there, so she forced Arya and Bing to take the lunchbox instead. Bing joked that she might be their future sister-in-law, Bai's would-be wife. Then he added dramatically, in full comic pain, that it was sad how both Brother Wei and Brother Bai had found girls, while he, the most handsome of the lot, was still single. He complained he had only been Arya's partner since childhood, as if that counted for something romantic. Arya told him to stop talking nonsense and to go give lunch to Bei. Bing did exactly that. Bei, who was in the library, got lunch along with a note from Bing that read, "My future sister-in-law dropped this off." Bei instantly guessed it must have been Xiao and smiled, clearly touched. After all, it was the first time a girl had cared for him like this. While Rui was leaving, Ten stopped her and said she should talk to him for a bit because he had something important to say that would benefit her. Roy, still furious, didn't want to listen until Ten mentioned it was about Piao. That caught her attention. Ten then revealed that the two paintings Piao had submitted were not actually hers. Hearing this made Roy beam, like a villain whose evil plan had just worked. Soon after, the art faculty teachers and students were waiting for Piao. When she arrived, everyone stared at her. Apparently, Rui had told them all that Piao had used someone else's paintings to get into the university. Jia and Roy criticized Piao harshly, asking how she could deceive her teachers like that. Piao stood in shock, realizing everyone now knew the truth. Xiao tried to defend her, saying it was all false, but Jia shut her up. Then Rui showed everyone Piao's old high school drawings, and the group laughed loudly. Rui proudly declared that she had always known Piao couldn't possibly have created such masterpieces. Still, Zhao tried to protect Piao, but Piao stopped her. The teacher then confronted Piao, saying she could lie to everyone else but not to herself. He asked her directly if she had drawn those paintings. Piao stayed silent for a moment, then finally admitted she hadn't. She began apologizing to the teacher, who wasn't moved. Everyone started demanding that she be expelled. Jia added that the university only accepted students with real skills, and since Piao had none, she had no right to be there. Piao tried to explain that she hadn't done it on purpose. She just bought the wrong paintings by mistake. She apologized again, but no one was listening. Piao pleaded with him, saying, "Please, sir, give me one last chance. I know you're very upset with me, but I will fix everything." Just then, Wei arrived. He heard everything and told the teacher that Piao definitely deserved one last chance. He believed in her and said she could definitely improve and prove herself. The teacher thought for a while and finally agreed. He gave Piao 2 weeks. Within that time, she would have to create a painting and present it in front of everyone. If she failed, she would have to leave the university. He added that he couldn't tolerate lies. Then he walked away. Outside, Piao was crying bitterly with Wei by her side. She wondered aloud if she would be able to fix everything in 2 weeks. Wei hugged her and said she didn't need to worry, not while he was around. Realizing how close she had grown to Wei, Piao tried to distance herself from him. But Wei hugged her again and reassured her that everything would be okay. Even the hidden painting talent inside her would definitely come out.